Hello, I'm Mike and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing issue 54 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. In this issue we can finish off our Hearthkyn Warriors and we'll be testing them out in today's game. Looking through the issue first, we have the painting guide for the Hearthkyn Warriors, and this will be similar to the Carl we've had previously. So we've got Avalon Sunset over a base coat of Abaddon Black for their undersuits, Khajiit Flesh for the leather parts and also their knee and elbow pads, and Lead Belcher for any mechanical parts like on their backpacks, some of their equipment and their weapons, also any visored heads you've decided to put on, and the one of the models does have mechanical legs. And then Retributor armour for the decorative parts of the crest and the hilt of his sword and any other decoration. Screamer pink for the handles of their guns. Mephiston red for any lenses on the visored heads and any chest lights, as well as the blade of the Thane's sword. And Macragge blue for any wrist-mounted screens like the one on the panspectral scanner. And then if you have any unhelmeted heads, you can either do a base coat of Wraithbone or Khajiit Flesh, depending on what sort of tone you want. And we can add shades, so non-oil for any of the leather and mechanical parts, any of the blue and pink areas, and the Thane's sword, Agrix Earthshed for their weapons and gold parts, Reikland Flesh shade for the yellow undersuits. Then we can pick out some highlights like Calgar blue for the wrist-mounted screens, Stormhost silver for all the silver and gold parts, Night Questor Flesh for all the leather bits, and Mechanicus Standard Grey for all the black bits. So you can see them up to that point. And they've also actually been based in this bit. I didn't mention that, but you'd use astrogranite. There's a background on the technology of the League, so they are a particularly advanced species because of the knowledge contained in the Votann. But whenever the Leagues encounter a new foe, they will adapt their existing technology to deal with the situation, and it is seen as a way of honouring the Votann by doing so. So they have the Brock here, who manage the forges that produce all their equipment, crewed by cog robots. We can see some of their weapons, like the Ion Blaster, which is a particularly devastating energy weapon. That is the general standard issue and is highly prized by anyone who wishes to trade with the Votann. The Hylaz Auto Rifle, which is a sort of squad support weapon, and the Bolt Revolver. And they also have shield technology that ranges from the personal to larger ones mounted on ships and vehicles. And then some background on walkers and battlesuits that are used by quite a few species within the 41st millennium. They provide a unique tactical role in that they're able to traverse terrain that regular armoured vehicles aren't capable of fitting in, carrying a variety of weaponry, either close combat or high-powered weaponry that isn't necessarily man-portable. So you have things like the Scout Sentinel there, fairly basic walker used by the Astra Militarum. Now, there are more advanced examples like the Tau battlesuits, which act more like an extension of the pilot rather than being operated like a regular vehicle. And there's also the Dreadnoughts, which are actually more like a walking mausoleum for Space Marines who have been mortally wounded and they can continue to serve. Then a little short story here called Martyr of some Adeptus Sororitas, the religious warriors of the Imperial cult. And we have one here, Sister Serena, who is fighting against some Genestealer cults. And we'll see the Genestealer cults soon enough. But now I'll hand you over to Will, who'll be taking us into the learning game for the Hearthkyn, but there's also some previews of campaign games which might be coming up in the future.
Before we get to our game, we'll have to go back to issue 53 to look at the Hearthkyn Warriors datasheet. They have a 5-inch move, they're all toughness 5, with a 4+ save, 1 wound, a leadership of 7+, and an OC of 2. And they have a selection of weapons, which will be more fully described in the Combat Patrol description when we get that, but also just by looking at the models. So they do all have Autarch pattern bolt pistols, which are just bolt pistols like we've seen on Space Marines. The Thane, which is the unit leader, has an Eta Khan plasma pistol, which is a 6-inch range pistol with 1 attack that hits on a 4, strength 8, AP-3, and 2 damage. The majority of models have Ion Blasters, which are 18-inch range with 1 attack that hit on 4s with a strength 5, AP-2, and 1 damage. But one model replaces that with a Hylaz Auto Rifle, which is 24-inch range, 3 shots hitting on 4s, strength 6, AP-1, 1 damage with Assault and Rapid Fire 3. And another model instead has a Magna Rail Rifle, which is 18-inch range, 1 shot that hits on a 5 normally, but with heavy, strength 12, AP-3, D3+3 damage, and devastating wounds. The Thane has a Kin melee weapon, 2 attacks that hit on 4s, strength 5, AP-2, and 2 damage, and everybody else has a normal close combat weapon hitting on 4 with strength 4, no AP, and 1 damage. They have the patrol squads rule, like quite a lot of the basic infantry units in combat patrol, so they can be split into 2 units before being deployed. They have the faction rule, which we haven't learnt yet, and then one model who doesn't have a special weapon has a panspectral scanner, which means that ranged weapons in the unit ignores cover, while another model similarly has a medipack, which gives the unit a 6+ feel no pain. Obviously, if you split the unit into patrol squads, you would have to decide which squad gets those 2 special pieces of war gear. And then finally, they are battle line units. And returning to issue 54, first we have 2 more campaign games, which I won't go over in any great detail because we will do so if we actually play these games as part of the campaign, because it will be dictated by who wins whatever other games. So the first one is Eldari vs Space Marines on Display of Might. And of course on the following page we have the victory outcomes for that game, and then we have Eldari versus Tyranids. This is actually campaign 04, so this is the next mission for the Tyranids, since they won the previous game. This is also on Clash of Patrols, so when we next see the Tyranids it'll probably be this game, but that might not be soon because we've seen the Tyranids and the Eldari quite a lot and we've got other factions to play with. And then obviously victory outcomes for them. Then we have our introductory scenario for the Hearthkyn Warriors, called A Duck and Cover. So the bit of lore here explains that the Leagues of Votann expedition has found a planet which has some items of value on it, in a system previously thought completely unoccupied, but it turns out there are in fact some Orks there, infesting it as Orks tend to do. So we'll set up the battlefield as shown in the picture over Leaf. The Orks have 4 units of 3 boys, 2 of them are armed with sluggers and choppers, and 2 are armed with shooters, one with a big shooter and one with a rocket launcher. And then the Leagues of Votann player divides the unit of 10 Hearthkyn into 2 units of 3 and 1 unit of 4, the unit of 4 including the Thane. But for this game, every Hearthkyn warrior is equipped with a pan-spectral scanner using the rules on their datasheet rather than just the one model. So basically every model has ignores cover on ranged weapons. The battlefield is set up like this. We've got one of our industrial mats with 4 pieces of terrain, which are specified, 3 objectives, 2 along the bottom edge and 1 along the top edge in the centre. The Orks have 4 numbered deployment zones, and as we'll see in a minute, 1 unit of Ork boys deploys in each one. Although the Orks player gets the choice of which unit goes where. The Orks player does deploy first, and then the Leagues of Votann player deploys everything afterwards. Anywhere not in an Ork deployment zone and more than 6 inches from any Ork unit, and the Leagues of Votann player gets to go first. And as usual for these kind of games, we don't have any enhancements, secondary objectives, or faction abilities or stratagems available. And it's simple victory points, 5 points for controlling 1 or more objectives, and 5 points for controlling more than the opponent, scored at the command phase, but not in the first battle round. And the game will potentially last for 5 battle rounds, and whoever has the most victory points is the winner. And then a reminder of how benefits of cover work, and indeed the ignores cover rule. So being in cover means you get +1 to your save, but ignores cover, you don't get that benefit if you're shot at. So obviously all the Hearthkyn will have ignores cover in this game, and because most of their weapons have AP, that means the Orks are not going to get much benefit from their saving throws. Particularly down here. In fact, it might only be the Highlights auto rifle, which only has an AP of -1, which would even give them a saving throw at all. And then we have the victory outcomes depending on what happens. So you can have a look at those. We'll get the game set up and get straight into it. So here is our board set up, giving you an aerial view where you can see the objectives. So 1 and 3 along the bottom edge, and number 2 at the top edge in the middle, and everything's been deployed. I'll actually show you the top edge first, because there's 2 Ork boys units with sluggers and choppers deployed to go and contest objective 2. But now if we have a look on along the bottom edge, you can see the downside of deploying first, because I deployed a shooter unit near objectives 1 and another one near objective 3. But then the kin decided to deploy their entire unit in 3 sub-units, all down here, because, as Mike figured out, there's no benefit to holding 3 objectives, as long as you hold more than your opponent. So putting the entire squad down here actually makes a lot of sense. And then there's another boys unit over by objective 3 as well. We're having a closer look at the unit of Hearthkyn.
So I've got 2 groups of 3 with iron blasters, and then the group of 4 is the Thane, the Highlights auto rifle, the Magna Rail rifle, and also the medic is in there as well.
Yeah, so the medic is the one with the red backpack with the sort of grey bedroll on the top. The Magna Rail rifle is obviously the big long gun, and the Highlights auto rifle is the one on the right of the unit of 4 next to the Thane.
Yeah, and I believe the actual pan-spectral scanner is in the squad up to the left of your screen.
Yeah, it's just a backpack with some extra gubbins, not to be confused with the guy on the unit on the right who has an aerial on his backpack, which does do something in the full game but not in combat patrol. Yeah. But the Leagues of Votann get the first turn in this game, so we'll be on to Leagues turn 1.
So simple movement, my 2 squads of 3 are going to move to contest objective 1 and 3. Squad in the middle is going to stay where it is, so the Magna Rail rifle will be hitting on a 4. And I'll start shooting with the squad on the right hand side of the board, and they'll shoot the unit boys with the big shooter. So 3 iron blasters is 3 shots hitting on 4s. Getting 2 hits, strength 5, so wounding on 4s, 1 wound.
But because it's AP -2, the Ork gets no save, so that's 1 dead Ork.
Same thing on the left hand side of the board, that squad will shoot at the other unit of boys with shooters and the rocket launcher. Same again, 3 shots on 4s, they all hit, and wounding on 4s. 2 wounds.
So 2 dead Orks will leave the rocket launcher.
Finally, the squad in the middle, the Highlights auto rifle will go into the shooter boys with the big shooter, while the medic's iron blaster and the Magna Rail rifle will go into the rocket launcher. So doing the Highlights auto rifle first, it's rapid fire, and we're within 12 inches, so you've got 6 shots hitting on 4s. I think 4 hits, that's not too bad. Strength 6, so wounding on 3s. 2 wounds at -1 AP.
So 2 6+ armor saves. Nope, didn't make either, so both of those orcs are dead.
We'll do the Magna Rail Rifle because it's the more fun weapon on a 4. Oh, it hit. Strength 12, so wounds on a 2. Oh, and it's devastating wounds, so it does D3+3 damage to that orc. 4 damage.
And those are mortal wounds, so even if it did get a save, it wouldn't hit. So that actually leaves the Leagues of Votann in sole control of objectives 1 and 3, and we'll be heading to Orcs turn 1. So these boys over here have realised that the fighting's somewhere else, so they're both going to advance because they're a really long way away from anything. There's actually potentially no point holding objective 2 either, because if I don't take at least one of objectives 1 and 3, then I'll just lose on points anyway. So the unit on the left gets a 3-inch advance, and the one on the right gets a 6-inch advance. So that gets both units to where you can see them in the picture, but obviously that'll be the end of their turn because they don't have assault weapons and they can't charge. No war in this game, unfortunately. So we're straight on to Leagues of Votann turn 2.
Not much movement. Basically, the squads on the flanks are just rearranging themselves to make any orc charges a little bit harder. Well, the squad in the middle has moved a bit just so the Thane can get his plasma pistol in range with the squad of boys on the right. And shooting, the squad in the middle and the squad on the right will shoot the orc boys on the right, while the other squad will shoot the orcs on the left. I'll start with the Thane squad. There is a small chance he'll wipe out that unit of orcs, but I don't know if the other kin will be in range. But we'll start with his plasma pistols, and as I moved him to get in range, it hits on a 4. He missed. We'll do the rail rifle, hits on a 5. No. And an iron blaster, that hits with a 4 and doesn't wound. And then the auto rifle on 4s, getting 3 3s, getting 1, -1 AP.
Yeah, so actually even with the ignores cover, I do get a 6+ save. No.
So that squad with iron blasters on the right will shoot at the same unit. 3 shots on 4s, only getting 1 hit. That doesn't wound.
Oh.
And then the squad on the left is the same thing. They hit once and wound once, so that'll kill an orc as well.
So both squads down 2. And the Leagues of Votann did actually gain 10 victory points in their command phase because of holding 2 objectives. But there are still orcs left, so we will have an orcs turn 2. So the 4 remaining boys are going to move closer to the kin down here. We didn't get any victory points, obviously. And then we will fire some sluggers. They'll just fire them at the units directly in front of them, leave the squad of 4 alone for the moment. So 2 at the kin on the left, they both miss, and the ones on the right also both miss. But, well, never mind, they're just orcs. They'll then charge, I think. So we'll start with the ones on the left once again. They're in with a 10. And the ones on the right are in with a 6. So there's a scrum on the left, and also one on the right. If we can clear these objectives, then we'll be holding them. Both squads have 6 attacks with choppers. We'll start with the ones on the left. Hitting on 3s, all 5 hits. They are only wounding on 5s though, because Hearthkyn are toughness 5 and these are strength 4. So no wounds, and then we will try again on the right. With 6 attacks, only 3 hits, and 5s to wound. No wounds for over there either, oh dear.
Well, and we're hitting back with our close combat weapons. 1 attack each, hitting on 4s, starting with the squad on the left. We got a hit, so wounding on a 5. Nope. Squad on the other side, hit once, and all they get a wound.
Uh-oh, 5+ save. Oh dear, they kill an orc, that's embarrassing. So the net result of all that was 1 dead orc and no dead Leagues of Votann. As we head into Leagues turn 3.
So in my movement phase, the Thane squad is going to move to try and back up the other squad on the objective, who are going to stay in melee, I think. Well, the squad on the right will stay in melee as well.
And the Leagues of Votann do get another 10 victory points.
Start shooting with the squad on the left. They've got their bolt pistols, so we'll shoot with them, hitting on 4s. We got a hit. Wounds on a 5. Nope. And the squad on the right as well get a hit as well. And don't get a wound. And then the unengaged squad will charge the 2 orcs on the left and get in with a 5. So they'll get into the orcs like that so that the Thane can use his melee weapon.
Yeah, and obviously they get to fight first.
So we'll do the Thane. He's got 2 attacks on 4s. Gets a hit. Strength 5, so wounding on a 4. He wounds.
No save against that, because it's AP -2, so that's 1 orc dead.
And then 3 attacks from the other 3 squad members on 4s, getting 2 hits. Wounding on 5s. No.
So just 1 orc left over here. But I'll do the one on the other objective to fight. 3 attacks on 3s, 2 hits. Wounding on 5s. Oh, wound at last at -1 AP.
5+ save. Failed.
Oh.
Lose a kin. He's a 3-man unit on the left against that other orc. 3 attacks on 4s, getting 2. And 5s. 1 wound.
5 to save. Oh, it did. So that one gets to hit back. We'll actually go for the Thane's squad, I suppose. 2 hits. And 5s to wound. 1 wound.
5 plus armour? Nope. 6 plus feel no pain? Nope. We'll lose the rail rifle, he's not going to be helpful for now. And then just the 2 kin remaining on the right hand side to fight against the orc. Getting on 4s, getting a hit. And wounding.
5 to save. Oh, so there are still 2 orcs left. They're not going to get any points in orcs turn 3. But they actually have to take battle shock tests. So the one on the left fails with a 6, and the one on the right passes with an 8. But he does get to shoot a slugger, shoot it at the Thane squad again, I suppose. Missed. And the one on the right also missed.
I'll do the 2 kin on the right first, because there is potential for them both to get killed and I'll lose that objective. 2 attacks on 4s. Well, they both hit. Wounding on 5s. We've got a wound again.
5 plus save. Oh, passed again. So I have 1 orc fighting all of the other Hearthkyn will hit the Thane squad again. 3 times. Wounding on 5s. Oh, 1 wound.
5 plus armour? Nope. 6 plus feel no pain? Yes.
Ah.
So I'll roll the Thane and then just do the other 2 quads together. Thane hits on 4s, hits twice, and wounds on 4s. Don't know. Then he's got 2 friends, and then there's another 3 in the other squad. All on 4s, getting 1, and then a 5. Nope.
So that's the end of Orcs turn 3. And we're on to Leagues of Votann turn 4, where they get another 10 victory points, and have obviously won the game, but there's still Orcs that could bring down a couple more before they die, so we'll carry on.
So no movement needed. We're just going to shoot our pistols. So I'll start on the left-hand side. We've got a plasma pistol and 5 bolt pistols. Plasma from the Thane misses. 5 bolt pistols on 4s, getting 3. 5s, getting 1.
5 plus save. Ah, finally failed one. So that orc dies.
And then the 2 kin on the other side miss.
So just the 1 combat remaining, but the orc does get to go first. 3 attacks on 3s, getting 2 hits and 1 wound.
5 plus, failed, lose a kin. His friend will hit back and miss.
So it'll be Orcs turn 4, where we have a battle shock test, a slugger shot, and then some combat. Battle shock. Succeeded again. This orc is brave, or rather stupid. And then a slugger shot hits on a 5. No. A Hearthkyn Warrior gets to hit the orc before it gets hit himself.
Nope, not with a 1.
And the chopper on 3s. Oh, only 1. 5 to wound. Oh, it did. -1.
5 plus, saved.
Ah. So, Leagues of Votann turn 5, where there is a battle shock test to be made from that 1 remaining warrior.
He fails with a 6.
Yeah, their leadership 7. So it's only 5 victory points.
So that Hearthkyn is battle shocked. He's going to fall back, so he might get cut down as he flees, but that will allow the rest of the kin to try and mow down that orc. On a 1 or a 2, he gets killed. Oh, he does. And then we're just going to form a firing line and try and finish off that remaining orc. Start with the high las on 4s. You're only getting 1 hit. Wounds on a 3. It doesn't. And then there are 4 iron blasters. They get a hit and don't get a wound.
So the orc is still there as we go into Orcs turn 5. Well, if the orc passes his battle shock test, the orcs will actually get 5 victory points. Oh, he does, I think, with a 7.
Yeah.
Yes, 5 victory points for the orcs. Well, I mean, he could stand and hold the objective, but it's the end of the game, so there are stunties what killed all his mates, so the orcs are going to come in and try and give him a good duffing. So we'll have a slugger shot at the Thane's unit, I suppose. Missed. And then a charge into both units. 7 should be enough. Put all his attacks on the Thane's unit. 3s to hit, 2. 5s to wound. Oh, we didn't manage any wounds.
Showing both units off, they piled in one guy. The guy at the back with the pan-spectral scanner actually can't get in range to fight, but the rest of the kin can. We'll start with the Thane. 2 attacks on 4s. They both hit this time. And wounding on 4s. There we go, 2 wounds.
Oh, the orcs dead. So that is the end of the game. The Leagues of Votann won by a clear margin. In fact, I'm surprised the Orcs got any points at all, to be honest. Partly down to my deployment, but I still think that's quite a hard one for the Orcs to win. But anyway, we'll discuss all of that and more as we recap all of that for you now. Well, that was the game for issue 54 of Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol magazine. How do you think that went?
Yeah, well, obviously it went pretty well. We went very well in the first turn, which is where it mattered the most, really, because I was able to shoot you off the objectives and then hold out long enough to pull out a lead, because after then I really wasn't that effective. It took a long time to kill 6 orcs, considering I'd killed 6 in the first turn.
Yeah, and I didn't deploy very well thinking about the objectives, because objective 2 was essentially irrelevant given that there was a decent chance you were just going to kill all of the orcs down the bottom of the board. Could have deployed those slugger boys closer and maybe manage to charge in my turn 1 with them, which would have bogged you down for longer, but you probably would have just stayed a bit further away to stop them charging if that was the case. So you probably still would have got 2 rounds of shooting regardless, which means there really aren't likely to be that many orcs coming in.
Yeah, and I'd probably prioritise the melee orcs over the shooty ones.
And even then, the melee orcs aren't actually that good against Hearthkyn because they wound them on 5s. Obviously, if you have a full squad of boys, like having 2 or 3 isn't really representative of a full unit of orcs. But even so, being toughness 5 does make orcs struggle to wound them. In fact, the entire melee situation was a lot of people failing to wound each other.
Yeah, I mean, Hearthkyn aren't good in melee. You can see that by looking at their datasheet, but still.
Yeah, even the Thane only has 2 attacks. They hit on 4s, so it's still not great. I mean, yes, they do 2 damage. They will kill a Space Marine in 1 hit, but
yeah, that's the last-ditch weapon, really. Yeah, and you can see their weapons are actually fairly short range, which isn't as big an issue in Combat Patrol. And I think we did see that they are a bit unreliable. They struggle with hitting. You can see why they need the Judgment tokens. When they do get wounds, at least against Orcs, it does hurt. You've got to get over the first step.
Yeah, hitting on 3s will improve them considerably.
Because their weapons are pretty powerful.
Yeah, AP-2 just means Orcs get no save, but obviously that also comes in handy against things that do have a good armor save, like Space Marines or even Terminators. And their special weapons, I mean, the High Las just has a lot of shots if you manage to get it in rapid fire range, and being Strength 6 and AP-1 means that it is going to mow down light infantry. While the Magna Rail Rifle obviously will put a big hole in something if it actually hits, but it pretty much has to not move if you want to make it effective. And the 2 special items of war gear are helpful. I mean, a 6+ Feel No Pain is never a bad thing. And the Pan-Spectral Scanner...
I mean, giving the squad ignores cover is a nice boost, considering they have IAP as well.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't actually seen cover come up all that much in our games, just because of the way the terrain cards work, but if you had a more fully modelled board with larger area terrain features, then certainly ignores cover might come up more often, because you probably want to stick to cover generally in 40k anyway. And that does mean that there's always the choice between splitting the unit in half and keeping it as a unit 10, because if you keep it as a unit 10, you get both of those bonuses for the entire unit, which obviously is going to make the shooting more efficient and make the whole unit more resilient, but equally you might want to split them in 2, because then you can keep a squad with the rail rifle standing still at the back and the other one can go out, because they are the only battle line unit that the Leagues of Votann Combat Patrol does get.
Better than that, they're a reasonably solid line infantry unit. Also, the Votann range isn't very big, so if you want battle line infantry, Hearthkyn Warriors are your only options, I think. So toughness 5 will help them against your usual anti-horde weapons, but they've already got a 4+ save and 1 wound, so they are going to go down relatively quickly.
Yeah, and when we consider some of the other ranged weapons in the combat patrols we've got, I mean, like the Barb Gaunts don't have any AP, but they have so many shots at strength 5 that they will be quite effective, especially as a blast weapon. The Guardians will be wounding them on 5s with the Shuriken catapults, but they get so many shots. But as with all combat patrols, it's also important to consider how they fit in with the overall combat patrol, which we obviously just don't know yet, because we haven't tried it out.
Yeah, and I do quite like the models. They do have a sort of high-tech look, which certainly fits dwarves. With their new codex, they have tried to go away from the sort of fantasy grudge aspect of the Votann and go into the more high-tech aspect, which I think suits them fairly well. They look near enough like the Imperium, but like a high-tech version of it. But on the other hand, they do look an awful lot like StarCraft 2 Marines, especially with the helmets with the visor plate that slides up, which you might have noticed with the colour scheme is what I've gone for. Also, having done multiple of these Poet magazines now, I've got an awful lot of pots of Macragge Blue that I've never used, so it's finally time to use some of it.
Yeah, they've got the Ultramarines colour scheme that...
Yeah, pretty much. It's the same gold and the same black undersuit is how I would paint them.
Yeah, and of course these 2 issues giving you a unit of 10 is essentially a half price saving, pretty much, given the prices of Games Workshop kits these days. So if you do have a Leagues of Votann army or want to start one, then getting multiple copies of this issue and the previous one are a good way to bulk out your troops. And of course the full kit does have quite a few different other weapon options as well, so they don't all have to look like this. But anyway, I think that's it for this video and this episode, so let us know what you thought in the comments below. Let us know how you've been getting on with your Leagues of Votann Combat Patrol. If you did enjoy the episode, leave a like and subscribe. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.